All right, we're about 2 minutes out from coming to order. As the chairman said, if you're planning on speaking tonight, please come to the front, sign in on the sign-in sheet. Please indicate which project it is that you are going to be speaking on. When you do come up to speak during the public hearing portion of the meeting, please make sure that you speak into the microphone so that we can hear you. We'll make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be heard regarding the projects that are being heard tonight. When the bell tolls, we'll probably get called to order shortly thereafter. So hold tight for just another minute. Thank you. Yeah, these are. Sure. Yeah. This way I know where it is. If the board members would just make sure that your microphones are on so that you can be heard as well. Move to approve.
The second. All in favor, none. Opposed?
All right, the first item under old business is TMS number 232-0703-042, 114 Mendenhall Street, Zone PUD, Planned Unit Development. Karen. The variance request to reduce the required rear yard setback from 15 feet to 5 feet and increase the permitted lot coverage from 35% to 50% for the addition of an accessory structure, ordinance section 2.10. This project was at the board at the last meeting. The situation has not changed. The board chose to defer the project to this month's meeting due to there being only 3 board members present. Felt that to give the applicant an opportunity to have a fair, so to speak, discussion concerning the project. So to go over that again, the request for the request for the placement of structure is being made by the applicant. I'm sorry. Staff feels that the applicant does not meet all 4 criteria and that a hardship is not present. Extraordinary conditions do exist on the irregular shape of the property, location of the primary structure, and the location of trees on the property that the owner wishes to preserve makes for extraordinary conditions. Other property in the area do have similar conditions, but each lot is unique. C, utilization of the property is not eliminated or unreasonably restricted Due to the lot coverage limit, the proposed garage would not be able to be constructed on the property, but there is an existing garage and storage shed already existing on the property. The setback is determined by the location of the front of the house. Detriment will not be caused to other properties by the issuance of the setback variance on this property. However, the lot coverage variance could pose a flooding risk to other properties. As stated in other lot coverage variance requests, by continuing to approve lot coverage increases, the town is contributing to future flooding issues both upstream and downstream of this location. This is the proposed plan. This is the existing house, existing garage, and this is the proposed garage. Based on our calculations and square footage of the lot, proposed total lot coverage would exceed the 35% lot coverage limit. As we said in the staff report, the front of the lot spaces. This is the front. This is a side. This is a side. Sorry. So this lot line here would be considered the rear lot line. That is where the setback variance for the rear comes in, being reduced from 15 feet to the requested 5. The applicant did further discussion. And if there are questions, please feel free. I'll turn it over to Ben.
Here, I have anything to say.
No, sir. I mean, I think I've said everything I had to say unless you have additional questions. I did look at it after speaking with Mr. McCall after our last meeting. And as I mentioned, where I plan to put the garage, I think you can see the picture. It's kind of coming up the front of the garage, meeting existing concrete. That is basically the line and the reason I drew in the next door neighbor's house. That is where their front door is. So I wrote in one of the documents that I'm trying to be respectful of the neighbor. And I could pull that garage forward a little bit onto the existing concrete, but I'm trying to remain respectful of my next door neighbor so he doesn't walk out his front door or sit on his front porch and have to look at the garage. However, I can pull it forward a few feet, thereby reducing the additional square footage that I'm asking you to approve. I'd rather not do that to my neighbor, and he is on board with me doing this. So just wanted you to be aware of that. Also, as I mentioned before, the existing shed in that picture will be removed. And I can't come too far forward because, as you can see, the property tapers back into it's basically a slice of pizza. And the side load garage there gets very, very narrow. So in order for me to use this garage, I have to go through and then over to the left in order to align with the new garage. So I can't pull it too far forward, otherwise it will be too tight. So I think those were the only additional. Oh, I'm sorry. There was one additional thing. One of the board members asked Mr. McCall last time what direction the driveway points to. And I believe the answer was incorrect. It points almost due north, but not quite, just a little bit to the west, not pointing to Route 78, which I believe was one of the concerns for drainage. So I checked that after the last meeting. I believe that's it, unless you have any other questions.
Any questions?
Tim, what are the percentages here of coverage that's at issue?
He is asking for an increase from 35% to 50% lot coverage. It's 15% above. It was already existing. Most of the properties in that neighborhood are at or above already. Unfortunately, based on the age of the neighborhood and the fact that the town did not have lot coverage permits in place up until 2019. There was paving, there were sheds, there were things that were added to properties over time that did not specifically require permits that have resulted in similar situations to this. It's common throughout that neighborhood in particular. This is at least the third, if not the fourth, lot coverage variance request within this neighborhood overall.
If I may. So on that subject, I've done a little homework, and out of the 300 and some odd homes in South Point, that's the name of the neighborhood. I've counted approximately 24 with additional garages in their backyard, in addition to their attached garages. Now, I realize each case is different, lots are different, so forth and so on, some being smaller than mine. And when they did it, I'm sure plays into effect. However, I just wanted to point that out, so you're aware.
Tim, do we know the current coverage without this proposed garage?
It's over the 35% already. I believe I didn't break it down truthfully to that to determine what it was pre-existing, but it is a 24 by 35 proposed garage, which is 840 square feet. So it's a significant addition to lot coverage in this regard.
And I assume the corner of the garage, you're gonna pave that also to get into your garage?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand the question.
In order to get into the new garage,
Yes.
you're gonna have to pave additional area. Is that counted in the footage that you're,
Yes, that's all included. So all I would have to do is drive straight through the side load garage, the existing driveway, past it, and straight into the new garage. That side load garage is killing me. Parking 2 cars there side by side, I can barely get the garbage cans between the 2 cars. And trying to park a car in and out of that side load garage is nothing short of a feat. Especially with the pole in the middle of the garage for support.
in the existing shed
Yes,
that is already paved underneath it, correct?
yes.
All right, so that's not, you tear that, it doesn't help you out tearing.
I wish it would, but it won't. It will be removed because I have no further need for it.
No, I'm just saying, when you remove the shed, you're gonna still have the paved area where the shed was,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Right. So that doesn't help you as far as reducing your square foot.
No, unfortunately not. But that's the area, as I mentioned earlier, I could move the new garage up further into, barring the neighbor having to look at the garage if I did that.
Any other questions? Anything? Final?
No, I'm good.
Fine. Two? Fine. Can I have a motion? Something? Anybody? Huh?
I'll make a motion, we approve the variance.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Go ahead.
I don't see how we get around the detrimental effect of increasing the lot coverage area. We've got to find all 4 exist, and I don't see if there's any way around that, especially if it's already over the lot coverage maximum as it is.
Any other questions? Okay. Favor of approving it, raise your right hand. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on,
All right, the next item on the agenda. First
oh,
item.
William, I'll let you make a comment.
Oh.
If you're not happy with that, there is an out for you, and you go to circuit court and see if you can convince the court, okay? But that is the normal progression,
Circuit Court?
right? It's not the town court, it's the circuit court.
I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. First item under new business is TMS number 153-1607-008. 108 Stewart Place, zoned PUD planned unit development owned by Wanda Finite. Variance request to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 14 feet and increase the permitted lot coverage from 50% to 53% for the addition of a screened-in porch on the property. Ordinance section 2.10. The need for the variance was determined at the time of building permit. Staff feels that the applicant does not meet all four criteria and that a hardship is not present. Extraordinary conditions do exist on the property. The patio that is being covered exists already. This would not be a change in lot coverage, but needs approval to move forward. B, other property in the area do have similar conditions, but each lot is unique. C, utilization of the property is not eliminated or unreasonably restricted due to the lot coverage limit. And D, detriment will not be caused to other properties by the issuance of the setback variance on this property. However, the lot coverage variance could pose a flooding risk to other properties, as stated in other lot coverage variance requests. By continuing to approve lot coverage increases is contributing to future flooding issues both upstream and downstream of this location. Considering that this paving has been in place for some time, it is unlikely that this change will negatively impact any other properties in a significant manner. So let's go through. This is the property. It's townhouse development. Patio exists on the back of the house. You can see here. Sorry. The intent is to cover the existing patio, 8 by 15, just put a roof over it. It's a standard shed type screened in porch. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. We did discover the setback variance upon review of the plot that we were able to obtain. Shows a 20-foot setback here. It would encroach into that rear setback. The applicant is here, and if you would like, I can turn it over to them.
Good evening. How are you doing? We're here to appeal against the variance since it's such a small area to or well, actually reduced to accommodate just a roof over the patio slab. So I wanted to see if we can go ahead and get the variance to get it approved. You have any questions for us?
Does the as I understand it, where the patio is already paved.
Correct.
So putting a roof over it really doesn't change the lot coverage.
No, it's all existing.
It's already over the limit. It doesn't change that.
Right.
So my question is, what's behind that property? I mean, you're also asking for a variance to the setback from your back property line. What's behind your property?
There's no gated, there's a gate that sits there, but I mean, a fence line, but that's part of the HOA fence line, but that's nothing that's stopping between the back of the house and it's just pretty much open.
I believe that the adjacent property is a retirement or nursing home or something along, yes. As you can see by the aerial here, they're directly adjacent. There are trees on the property line between the two. I don't think that there's an actual picture that was included in part of the packet here, but generally, I believe this is mostly a drive aisle for like a fire lane to get to the backside for fire protection EMS purposes.
And the other thing was back there is a large, tall, wooden fence.
Correct.
Solid wooden fence.
Correct, just for the for the borderline, HOA to separate the two properties from them.
Right. Is that your fence or the home's fence? Who put the fence in?
That's the HOA,
HOA.
homeowner association.
Thank
yeah.
you. Any other questions?
Can I make a motion that we approve the request? I'll second.
Any other discussion?
I don't have a big issue with it, but I wonder how we're gonna justify it against our 4 standards. That are required here. It's not that much different from other properties. It doesn't altogether restrict use of the property. What are the other two? But
Am I correct? What you said, Tim, was that they're basically going to put something over an existing patio.
Correct.
Yes,
It won't increase the
it's not changing the existing conditions. When this was built originally, there was no patio on the plot plan. And that's what kind of kicks this variance in, is at some point between what was approved on the property at the time of construction and their application, there was the addition of the patio. We need to account for that fact and bring it into compliance by either issuing a variance or denying the request. Because it was done previously, normally what we would do if it had been built originally as part of the original plan, we would have at the staff level approved it because there wouldn't have been a change. But because it wasn't documented, we do have to bring it into compliance in this manner.
so that patio was added after.
Sometime in between initial construction and what was approved on the construction documents that you see here, and what is being proposed here. So there is a difference between the patio was not shown on the original construction documents in our files.
Thank you.
Tim, can you go back to the staff's findings? I don't see an objection to B or D. But I'm kind of like John, I don't see how we get around, it's not decreasing the utilization. And it's not unlike other properties in the area. I mean, I don't think it's gonna create an additional detriment because it's already there.
It's already existing
just-
already.
We have to find that all four of these conditions exist. And I don't see how the extraordinary condition or utilization is met.
I'm working this one through my head. It does, to me, seem unreasonable to restrict utilization against that back property line, given what's back behind there. If there was another neighbor who you might be encroaching upon, if you built something a little closer to the property line than was allowed, okay, that's one thing, but it seems unreasonable to restrict it when essentially what you got there is a row of trees and a parking lot.
I think we got to keep in mind too, that the patio is already there. Nothing is
Yeah.
gonna put a roof on, it. It might as well be an umbrella. I mean,
Yeah. No, in my mind, that coverage is not an issue. It's the setback on the property line.
All in favor? Raise your right hand. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Y'all be blessed. Appreciate you.
All right. Item number 2 under new business is TMS number 13014060001, 015, 016, and 017 at 120 Boone Street, zoned NR Neighborhood Residential, owned by Thomas Limehouse. Variance request to increase the number of lots allowed to be created without public roadway frontage from 5 to 12 for units 5 through 16 on the proposed subdivision, and reduce the required driveway separation from the property line from 5 feet to 1 foot for units 1 through 16 of the proposed subdivision. Ordinance section 5.7.1A and section 7.7.3B. So I'm going to read the staff report as it relates to the project. The developer of the property approached the planning department about the proposed new development to provide affordable housing options in this area. The applicant has modified the plan in every effort to meet the requirements of the ordinance. The resulting plan proposes 16 micro units located behind 11 standard single-family lots. The proposed micro units, or BUDs, will be sold fee simple and can meet all other required bulk restrictions for the zoning district in question. The developer understands that no additional lot coverage will be permitted on these BUD lots, and this will need to be noted on the final plat if this requested variance is approved. Neighborhood residential does not have a minimum lot size requirement, but does have a maximum lot coverage requirement of 50%. This has driven the size of the lots based on the footprint of the structure and the necessary paving for the parking needs of the units. Though this is a request based on the design of their own creation, and this project would have been handled as a planned unit development in the past, they would not be able to meet all of the criteria to be approved as a PUD in this location, which would have included a commercial component, which is not compatible with a residential neighborhood. Staff feels that this is a creative and appropriate plan to provide additional needed affordable housing and pockets of sensible density in already developed neighborhoods that have the appropriate utilities and infrastructure in place to meet the needs of the development. It is also in scale and character with the neighborhood and is more appropriate than a multi-story apartment or condo style building. Staff feels that the applicant does meet all 4 criteria and that a hardship is present. So I'm gonna read that off here. So we can look at the site plan while I address the criteria. Extraordinary conditions do exist on the property. Based on the provided exhibit, there is a lot that is not owned by the current owner and is not part of the redevelopment of the parcels. This creates a unique shape to the development parcel. Also, to meet affordability standards, a certain number of units need to be built. Additionally, there is a blue line stream that restricts development within 50 feet of the edge of the stream. This contributes to the proposed layout. The proposed size of the lots requires that the driveways be closer to the lot lines than is required by the ordinance. B, other property in the area do not have similar conditions. Each lot is unique. C, utilization of the property is not eliminated due to the required separation from the property line for the driveway, but for safety of the structures and the residents, the applicant has requested that the driveway be closer to the lot line and is elected to do a wagon wheel drive to meet the lot coverage limit. Without the proposed variance for the number of lots on a private drive, this project would effectively be canceled. And D, detriment will not be caused to other properties by the issuance of these variances on this property. These alleys will not be publicly dedicated right of way. Just to clarify the need for that variance. And our ordinance restricts the number of lots that can be developed on a private drive to no more than 4. That's why units 1 through 4 are permitted. They don't need a variance. That could be developed in that manner without the need for a variance. It is lots 5 through 16 that are being developed on the alley here that need the variance to exceed the maximum number of 4. So just to clarify that and where those variances would be applied. Additionally, this property line is a actual drainage stream as designated as such on our drainage maps. It's actually a blue line stream. Our ordinance requires a 50-foot buffer. First 25 feet can be has to be undisturbed. The next 25 feet, which is represented by this dashed line here, contributes to the unique nature of the lot, of the development parcel. And it really does push the development over to the side, and makes it impossible to use this half of or this third of the development parcel for residential development. And that is why the detention is there to help mitigate that, and it's permitted to be within that 25-foot area. The engineer and the applicants are here, and I can turn it over to them for any further questions, unless you have questions for me.
Tim, before they get going, what was the coverage issue here?
They're not requesting a lot coverage increase. Neighborhood residential allows for up to 50% lot
And they're
coverage.
okay on that.
They're fine with that. And we don't have a minimum lot size requirement in neighborhood residential. That was done to allow for different size lots which occur in this neighborhood. You don't need an 8,500 square foot lot or a 20,000 square foot lot as in GR5 or GR2. And you can still have single family lots. We did this to allow for people who have maybe larger lots to parcel off a piece for family, which occurs quite a bit in this neighborhood, to allow the addition of new housing units in an affordable manner, in a way that's historically been done within the neighborhood.
Gentlemen, good afternoon. My name's John Gant. I'm a partner with Hunter Quinn Construction on this particular project. I spent a lot of time on this piece of land. I have brought with me Will Rogan, who's Cypress Engineering. He's a local engineer here on Gum Street. And I also brought Bill Eubanks, who is with SGA Architecture downtown Charleston, who is our land planner and architect of record. So I'm gonna let Will go ahead and start it off, and Bill will follow up with the site plan as to how we got to where we are. I will also be available for questions when they're finished with theirs. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm gonna sign in real quick.
I also want to note that I did provide the exhibits to them so that they have their own personal. Additionally, there were 2 letters submitted by the public. They did ask that they be read into the record. If you'd like, I can do that now, or you can, we can do that after, but I do want to note that the planning department only received the 2 letters that you have in your hands right now, and those came in today.
Tim, do you have anything from the owner of that large parcel in the middle, in this top center?
These are others.
I didn't have it, but I do now.
know where to give, when to give them or whatever.
All right.
But that's Mr. Doyle. He's the one that's right in the middle.
Okay.
There are numbers.
Ready for me? Okay, perfect. Good afternoon. Again, my name's, can you hear me? Sorry, a little taller. My name's Will Rogan. I'm with Cypress Engineering. We are a civil engineering firm, so I'll speak specific to the civil engineering for the site. As John said, we are local here to Somerville, have an office off North Gum Street, just down from the post office. Actually, I personally served on the planning commission for the town of Somerville from 14 to 18. So appreciate your guys' service and giving up your time. So I wanted to start a few things. What Bill has is a copy of what you see on the screen. We're just going to point to a few things and give you an overview of the project, talk about some of the history. Tim did a good job summarizing. Just wanted to get into a little bit more of the detail, and then talk about what we're specifically here for, the two variances. So the project itself, what you see in color on the screen and on the plan, that is the site area. It's approximately 2.9 acres. It's got frontage on Boone Street to the north and West 2nd North Street to the south. In the yellow lots, which are there's 11 of those. Those are proposed single family lots, which would have frontage directly on the 2 publicly maintained roads and have access and private drives off of the 2 streets there. Along the west side of the property, the 2 dashed lines, one in the detention pond and the one just to the left of the detention pond, those represent the 2 riparian buffer areas that are required by the town. There is a Corps of Engineers 25-foot requirement, but as part of the UDO that was adopted within the last few years, that increases that to a 50-foot riparian buffer, and that's what's shown on the drawing there. This site, as Tim said, is zoned neighborhood residential. And I just wanted to read a couple excerpts from the UDO. I think certainly it's important to understand what is encouraged and required for this residential zoning district as part of the UDO. In section 2.4.1 of the UDO, it says that the neighborhood residential district, which is what this site is classified, and the surrounding areas, is established to accommodate a wide variety of housing types in close walking or biking proximity to Somerville's mixed-use centers. That's exactly what we've tried to do as part of this plan. We have a mix of single-family traditional lots as well as the 16 micro home lots that are more in the center of the site. Also in section 2.5 of the UDO, which is it defines the requirements for the different mixed-use district standards. There was a question earlier about density, setbacks, things like that. I'll go through that real quick. There is no maximum density as part of the neighborhood residential. There is a 5% open space requirement. We exceed that as part of this plan. There's no perimeter buffer required as part of the neighborhood residential zoning district. You can see on the plan that we do provide perimeter buffers in the center of the site where we have the micro homes. There's no minimum lot size, and the setbacks of a 10-foot front setback, 0 side setback, and 20-foot rear setback. We adhere to all of those as part of the plan, and they're shown with dimensions on the drawing for your reference. So how this project, so certainly what we've done as part of this development is tried to meet the intent of the UDO by adding a variety of housing types, adding pedestrian path along Boone Street. There is an existing sidewalk to the south along West 2nd North. There's not one currently on Boone Street that's proposed in kind of that tan color along Boone Street. You can also see a series of internal sidewalks to connect actually through the development from one side to the other and provide additional connectivity. Sorry about that. So the project history, what Tim mentioned, we came to the town staff and talked through an initial plan, which included both of these uses, and there was a consideration of townhomes at the time. That was something that town staff did not feel was appropriate, so we did not continue with that. We prepared a plan and went to the TRC technical review committee with the town on August the 8th. That plan, which we don't have a copy of, but it included 20 micro homes as well as an internal driveway that came from the south that aligned with the opposing drive on West 2nd North, came up into the center of the site and had a large parking lot with about 24 parking spaces. After reviewing that with the technical review committee, we just didn't feel like that was appropriate for this site, and went back to the drawing board and went to what you see here, which is the alleys as defined by the UDO. These alleys will be privately maintained. They're not a street or roadway that will be turned over to the town for maintenance that require any additional tax dollars. They are going to be privately maintained. And as part of this plan, we got rid of the larger parking lot in the center of the site. We have individual drives off of the alleys to each of the micro home sites, and reduce the micro home sites from 20 to 16, as you see on the plan. A couple things I wanted to point out in the staff report, and we agree with these assessments. It said, Tim mentioned the applicant has modified the plan in every effort to meet the requirements of the ordinance. As I indicated, we're checking almost every single box in the UDO, and we feel the variances that we're asking today are relatively minor in consideration of the other requirements of the UDO. Additionally, the staff report said that the project is in scale and character with the neighborhood and is more appropriate than a multi-story apartment or condo style building. Certainly, that's not what's being proposed here. In just a minute, I'll turn it over to Bill, and he'll show you some of the renderings of these micro homes. I think you'll be really impressed with what's being proposed. And also, I thought it was important to talk about with the project what we're here for tonight and what we're not here for tonight. We are not here for a rezoning request. You guys obviously know that. The single family residential and the micro home uses that are being requested as part of this plan are permitted and they're promoted as part of the UDO. We're also not here for a request for any additional density. There is no density requirement for neighborhood residential as part of the UDO. And we're within a reasonable range of density for normal projects of this size. We are not proposing a multi-story apartment or condo project. We're proposing single-family residential and micro homes. Also, this is not a public-private partnership to create affordable housing options. Rather, it's a private project, which Hunter Quinn will talk about just in just a minute, with the desire to meet the UDO goals of a variety of different residential uses within the zoning district, which helps promote affordability. Also, we are not here to request the town to take ownership or maintenance responsibilities of any of the internal driveways. As I mentioned earlier, these are private alleyways that will be owned and maintained as part of the development. So the two variances that we are here to talk about, there are, as Tim mentioned, the 12 lots on the right side of the plan. There's a current restriction within the UDO that does not allow more than 4 lots to be subdivided off of a roadway unless it is a publicly maintained roadway. So that is the first variance is to, on the right side of the site, to allow those 12 micro homes to come off of that privately maintained alleyway rather than making that a publicly maintained road. The second applies to all 16 lots, all 16 of the micro home lots, which would be a reduction of the side setback. There's a side setback requirement from the driveway to the side property line of 5 feet. What we show is 1 foot currently on the plan. So we talked about the hardships. Tim talked about the 2 hardships that we wanted to also just summarize. This is a U-shaped parcel. The white property in the center is not part of the development. That's owned by the Doyles. We do have a letter of support from them as part of the project. Certainly they would be probably the most impacted person as part of this project. And also the second hardship is the USGS Blue Line stream, which is the ditch that runs along the western side of the property. So that was all I wanted to touch on. I'll turn it over to Bill and let him.
Thank you. I'm Bill Eubanks. I'm Director of Planning and Landscape Architecture with SGA and W. We're both the landscape architects and the architects on the project. And just wanted to drill down a bit into the way the site plan came to be. You've seen the overall site plan. This is just a blow up of one lot to kind of talk about how this works functionally. So we have these micro homes, or as our client likes to call them, buds. So they're small homes, which makes them much more affordable than a traditional market rate home. So that's what we're trying to do, is to provide these more affordable units for sale. So this is the micro home here. It's about 2 or 3 feet off the property line on one side, which gives us a little bit more room on the lot on the other side. So that's where we have the drive with the wagon wheel, or I've also heard it called a California drive, where it's just the 2 strips of paving for the tires. So we keep the impervious down. And then there's a small sidewalk adjacent to that, so that when the driver especially gets out of the car, they're able to then enter the unit right there. So each one of these units fronts on one side, the 2-way alley. On the other side, it fronts common open space. So every one of these units fronts common open space that has pedestrian connectivity through the development and to both 2nd Street and to Boone Street. So that's the reason that we're asking for the 1 foot separation here, is we're just trying to keep these lots as small as we can, so that we can do as many of these affordable units as we can. Wanted to touch a little bit on So I know the BZA doesn't weigh in on architecture, but this is a unique product. This is a unique housing opportunity, and I wanted y'all to understand this. So these are, right now we're looking at 3 different variations of the micro home. So there's also variety within this development. It's not cookie cutter. Absolutely. So, well, but y'all have them, right? All right. We can hold this so that they can see it. So there are 3 different variations right now, so that there is variety. It's not like a, cookie cutter kind of thing. But they're very small, but very elegant architecturally, very elegantly designed little units. So great opportunity for single people, couples, things like that, especially things like, people like teachers, first responders, people like that Hunter Quinn actually has specific programs for. But I wanted y'all to understand kind of how the site plan came to be the way it is. We worked closely with staff on developing this site plan. And also have to say, I think Summerville's new UDO is awesome. I think it's very well written. I think it's a very comprehensive ordinance, but, and I've written ordinances. I know how this works. You're never gonna cover every possible situation with an ordinance. That's the reason that the BZA exists. That's the reason that the variance process exists, is to deal with those things that could not be anticipated in the beginning. And I think, the micro home concept is a very unique concept. I think it provides great housing opportunities for Summerville. It's also completely interior to this site. So you're gonna, only from the street, you'll see those conventional single family lots. This all happens interior to the site. So happy to answer any questions that y'all might have.
There are 2 stories.
So they are 1 story with a sleeping loft, with a bedroom loft. So they're not true 2-story. They have a bedroom loft.
I have a question for, maybe this is for Tim, but if these are privately maintained alleys, is there any regulation as to how wide they have to be, or? Is anyone-
How wide the alley has to be?
The alley,
Yeah.
my concern is looking at these back units. Say there's an ambulance or something that needs to get back there.
As
It's a
part of the,
requirement.
Hey, Tim, I'll take that, Tim. So you can, if you zoom in, Tim, to the micro homes, it's kind of hard to see, but we brought this plan back to the TRC, which the fire department is part of that. And certainly fire truck turnaround, life safety is a big deal. You can see at the end of the larger, there's a hammerhead turnaround for fire trucks. And then on the left side of the four lot configuration, there's a sideways hammerhead. These are designed to meet the 20-foot wide alley designation for a street within the UDO. So that's what we went with those 2 specific designs.
20-foot alley with a 16-foot.
and I can say that the town's fire marshal has reviewed the plan and has agreed that it meets the requirements for the town fire protection.
Is there anybody who wants to have a comment? Question? If so, please put it up.
Got a couple of questions. Councilman Brown, I represent this district. And these people from the Civic Association, we have a Civic Association in the district. And we have a lot of concerns about the Brownsville area. This community is called Brownsville. And I'm gonna read you a little thing that I published on Facebook. Give you an idea of what I'm talking about.
Do you mind pulling the microphone down just so we can hear you a little better?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, good, thanks. As you know, Summerville is a fast growing town and seems that the people that are moving here are the people with the money, and they're buying the people who don't have money out. And they're building homes that these people can't afford. They keep mentioning affordable housing. What is affordable housing? Can you afford 350,000, 375, 400,000? No, they can't. So one of the questions I've got for the developers here is, and you may not have this answer, but what are these micro homes going to sell for? 200,000. Sounds expensive to me. Another thing, when you look at this schematic drawing here in that white space in the middle there, the rectangular, that's Doyle's property. Is what you're doing there, how close are you to his property? Is it just 1 foot, 5 feet, or what? So you're gonna have a 10-foot setback from his property? Okay. Because I was looking at the 4 considerations that you needed to meet with the UDO, and one of them mentioned detriment. And how close are you gonna be to the right of way on the road?
Only applies to the driveways, it's these 16 lots. It's the 1 foot versus 5 foot here. Doesn't apply to these lots with these lots.
And how wide is the alley? It's 20 feet. Okay, but anyway, the concerns that we have overall is there's a lot of people moving into Somerville, and they all seem to have money. And so they're buying properties, and the problem that we have is we've had a number of people that lived in Brownsville for a long time, and the property is transferred to generation after generation. But now a lot of these properties are being lost. And so we have some concerns about gentrification on it, even if it's unintentional, because of the cost of properties. Even buying a lot of land in Somerville can cost you $150,000. And the increase in the lack of affordable housing. We keep talking about affordable housing, but the affordable housing we're talking about, many people will not be able to afford. And we are concerned about the dilution of the populace in the district, the people who've been here for generations. They're starting to disappear and new people are moving in. And these issues are something that you can't do anything about. But the whole point of the UDO, as far as I saw it, was to protect the entire diaspora of Somerville, to protect certain areas. And that if we keep amending the UDO and we keep giving variance through the BZA and variances to the planning department, we are completely undermining the whole idea of what the UDO is all about, and making sure that people who live in Somerville can have a decent life of tranquility and be able to afford to live here. Because if we keep going to where we are going, we'll be facing the second advent of the carpetbaggers. They're moving in now, and pretty soon they might replace you where you're sitting. Thank you for your time.
My name is Dickie Myler. I live in Somerville at 114 Dan Myler Lane, and I'm here on behalf of the residents of District 1 in Brownsville. I love that they brought the whole staff here to give you all the data and all the supporting graphs, things of that nature. It's amazing what a big greased shoehorn will do. It'll put a lot of shoes, a big foot in a small little shoe. These people are here for one reason. They don't want it. They don't want it there. Why? Because it's changing the entire landscape of Brownsville. We've already lost Germantown. If Tillman Millhouse was here tonight, he would tell you we lost a part of our culture, part of our history, which makes Somerville unique. And wow, I'm so glad that they don't want any changes to the zoning or the density of the green space. They got everything they want. 1 foot setbacks. I mean, I would like to see this done in Gadsden, Mr. Chickless. I'd like to see this done in Newington. It would never fly. And they can't make this work without the variance request granted by you. And I'm asking you not to do that. They will give you all the reasons why it fits code and gets approved by that. But as I understand it, the most important thing here is the quality of life for the residents that live there. That's what it's all about. And Brownsville is a very important part of this community. And to put 20 more houses on 2 acres right in there, all that's going to do is increase the density of a population that probably will not mirror what is sitting here today. So I'm just asking you all to use your heart. Use your heart and do something that does something positive for Somerville, for the folks that sometimes can't say anything. And I was been in Brownsville for the last 2 days walking the streets. And I can tell you unequivocally that almost everybody, and many of who cannot be here, says we don't want it. That's all I can say. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members, I'm Tom Limehouse and I'm the property owner. And I have owned this property now for 4 or 5 years, and I've been giving it a lot of thought. Brownsville, my father bought from the Boone family, I believe, a city block in Somerville in the late 60s, early 70s. I might be off on the year, and built a city block of brick homes that people in that community bought. I had people approach me about putting mobile homes. Councilman Brown, I believe you amended the ordinance on the UDO to allow mobile homes in the area. This is as good a plan that addresses the community as I've seen. I'd actually planned to do something like this myself, and I'm not really wanting to be a builder. And their plans were a lot nicer than what we had been trying to come up with. It's affordable homes right now, Habitat homes, which I consider entry-level homes. One sold on Hickory in August for $300,000. I find 200,000 to be a shocking number, but I find the price of gas to be shocking when I go. As far as people opposing this, the Reyes family fronting on West 2nd, there's a letter of support. Star Developers, there's a letter of support. If you go across Boone Street, Ms. Hanchard, letter of support. Most of the community members I talked to, a lot of them were here to listen. Now, maybe they've made up their minds, but I don't believe that it is gentrification when you take an undeveloped lot and allow something in. The town of Somerville has consistently said in census tract, I believe 107, which includes downtown, the town square, and that area, that they want affordable housing. But the town of Somerville has not done anything. They provide affordability as far as giving some of the money they get from HUD to put roofs on. Very admirable. To put sidewalks in. They did it on West 2nd. Admirable. But Somerville has no housing authority. Nobody is here with their hand out saying, give us money for us to put affordable housing, which you see on the news everywhere. This is the private sector working. They're not even taking advantage of this being in an opportunity zone. This is a drummed up campaign. I'm surprised that Mr. Mahler's been elected for District 1, because last time I heard he was running. I've heard from people in that district as well. I don't want to see mobile homes go. I don't see mansions being built there in gentrification. I see something that staff recommends, and y'all as a quasi judicial body are here to listen to this and judge it by the criteria that you spoke of earlier. I think this one meets it all, and this is not about passion. This is about the letter of the law and the criteria. I would urge you to support this. Thank you.
My name is Reverend Joanne Brown. I'm a retired minister from the United Methodist Conference. And I reside at 931 West Second North Street. But what I would like to appeal to this committee is I was born and reared on West Second North. And as I ride through and look at the properties there, it's so much devaluation that we need someone to come in that's going to build the community and not tear it down. We have flooding problems there that's not even being addressed. I'm wondering, with bringing these many homes in there, these little micro homes, what is that going to do to the properties there? I'm for affordable housing, but even at 100,000, 200,000, they're single women, parent families. They're not going to be able to afford those places. And with all that in our community, look what you're bringing. I mean, more traffic. We want something to build our community out. We want that to be a landmark community. I was born and I'm standing 73 years old. And there are others that are here today. And I'm going to say to Mr. Limehouse, who my sister took care of his family, and we've known the Limehouses for a long time. I would appreciate something good coming. But right now we are against this. I'm speaking against it because I'm a homeowner up there. And I see other things that need to be done. And I think that this would be more of a detriment. You're bringing in more people. And I'm serious about it. Is a single woman going to be able to afford a micro home? And I heard the young gentleman sit and said he dotted every, I'm paraphrasing. He dotted every I and crossed every T, but it would have been nice if that planning committee had come in the community to us. Now the Dole family, I don't know where they lived or how long they've lived there, but they're not living there. We are. They're not going to be impacted by anything. We are. So we are the people that they should have come to, in all honesty, to sit down and talk to us about this planning. And maybe we could have offered some insight that would have taken this thing in another direction. But now here we are. But I speak, I think, for the community, because I've been to a lot of homes and talked to a lot of people that feel the same way. We are, and we know that. That's why so many people are trying to buy in our communities. Every week I get a card with someone wanting to buy my home. And my question is, you wanting to buy my home, where in the devil am I going to go live? We are a landmark community there. That community, we have been there for years. We not just come there. We are there. And so many people see us as an advantageous community because of being close to town, Azalea Festival coming in. I mean, they want to buy us out. What we're trying to do is beautify our community, make it more livable, make it safer. Those are the things we're concerned with. But if you talk about dotting every I and crossing every T, it would have been nice if they had sat down with us residents. I'm 73 years old. That community made me. I was born and raised in that community. And today we're here because of the fact, and we're not here to boost. We didn't know. Let me speak to you about that. We didn't know this was coming. We're trying to derail this dream before it derails us. And we're asking you today to take our concerns into consideration. That's all we're asking you to do as homeowners and residents and people who are rearing. My grandchildren are being reared there. My great-grandchildren are being reared there. And I know there are people that need affordable housing, but as a pastor, I've talked with plenty single parents. And who's going to be able to afford $100,000, $200,000 home? Yes.
Hi, my name is Pam Cavanis, and I was born and raised on Alls Lane. And I'm here today. One thing the gentleman said was that the impact was going to be on Mr. Dolly. I'm here to tell you that the impact is not going to be because he don't live in our neighborhood. We live in our neighborhood. It's going to impact us. I don't know, but Brownsville is the oldest minority community in Somerville. and we need representation. I don't mind them building homes for affordable living, but we've heard that before. Hickory and West North, they said it's going to be affordable houses. They built 7 houses on rental houses on that lot and asked me what is affordable. $2,300 a month is affordable. That was the catch. It's going to be affordable houses. That's not affordable. No parking. So it affects our neighborhood. And like Ms. Brown said, that it should have been discussed with the neighborhood. We didn't have no insight about what was going on. 11, 16 houses on that small lot is just too much for our neighborhood. Thank you.
My name is Ernest Walker. I live at 318 Alls Lane. Mr. Limos, I work for your daddy and your daddy's brother, so I know them very well. But my concern is the safety. There's no safety here. He's telling me about fire trucks and getting in and out. I mean, they don't have no exit. If they go into a dead end, as we call it, we call it in New York, we call it when you go back in the alley. We call it an alleyway. You can't get out. So if one of those houses catch a fire, now this is affordable. If one of those houses catch a fire, how many things you think could go down? If I didn't work all my life, or I'm working for affordable homes, everything is in my home. I'm a school teacher. I'm a fireman, and I get back to my home and I have none. What am I gonna do then? That's not affordable. That's not affordable at all. I'm against it altogether because of the fact that it's just too much for Brownsville area. We don't have no upgrade in Brownsville area. Infrastructure have never done. They didn't look around for a little strip mall or something like that. That would have worked better than affordable homes. A strip mall there would have worked. We have to go different areas and an average person in Brownsville don't have a car. They walk. Like even this meeting, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 80% of the workers, people that lives in Brownsville is on a job. So they can't put their input like the young man said. He had to go around and find out from the community how they felt about it. I didn't know anything about it. If my sister didn't tell me or brought me up to speed, I'd have been in the blind. And there's a lot of people around in Brownsville section like that. If you mention it to them, they don't know anything. They don't have a clue about it. And putting it on Facebook, putting the signs up and stuff like that, I don't think that'll work. I think he should have went a different direction with this. And not only that, it's just too much for Brownsville, for the town of Somerville. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. I raised up in Somerville. I'm 75, 76 years old coming up. And I know a lot of things changing, but we don't need it. We don't need this change now because right now, I live on 932 West 2nd North Street. Right there, we all get ready to build our house, build homes there. I used to live there. People, just like I said, people dying, but we got a unity to keep it. We have to keep our thing together. You're doing a good job, but you're ain't thinking right. So y'all have to wake up and help us because right there on Orleans right now, they need that big ditch what we have. That need to be taken care of. Y'all taking care of houses. We got enough houses around here And I appreciate what y'all been doing to help me. And from me walking with this walker, from this thing what we got going on right now. I had an accident, but I thank the Lord that I'm able to get around. And y'all have to do better. God bless you. Put it down. Okay. Yeah. I love you all.
You got it. Good evening. My name is Pam Queeman, and I live on 230 at 230 Boone Street. And I consider myself to be, and I was reared there from, that's where I was born, and that's where I've been since in my great grandmother's house. And I hear what Sister Reverend Brown said as far as being a single mom, because I am a single parent. And I am a professional, and I can truly say 200,000 is not affordable. I'm not here to knock anybody's plan, but $200,000 in our neighborhood is truly not affordable. I have a 10-year-old that I'm rearing, so I know that 200,000 is not affordable. Thank you.
As I said before, I have two letters here to read into the record. The first was hand delivered. It says, "Dear members and Board of Zoning Appeals, my family owns 209 Boone Street, which is across the street from Dorchester County TMS 130-140-6001-015-016-017. I understand that a zoning variance has been applied for. I have reviewed the plans and fully support the variance request. I feel that it promotes both affordable workforce housing and does not have a negative effect on our property or our community. Development of unimproved property is not gentrification by any definition. No tenants are being evicted and no family homes are being torn down to be replaced by McMansions. Again, I hope that you will grant this variance request and allow this project to proceed. Sincerely, Sonia Hanchard, 209 Boone Street." And I have another letter that says, "Dear members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, I am both a homeowner and a commercial property owner in the town of Somerville. My office is located at 611 West First North Street in the Brownsville area near the subject property. I have reviewed the requested zoning variance and strongly urge you to grant it. In addition to the undue burden placed upon the developer by the 50-foot ditch buffer, granting this variance request is justified in that it will allow for affordable workforce housing. As an employer, affordable workforce housing nearby would be most beneficial in helping to hire and retain qualified employees. I am aware that some mistakenly believe that such homes would result in gentrification. Having recently searched for homes in the area for a family member, I can attest to the fact that there are no readily habitable homes in the market at a $200,000 price point. Thank you for your consideration. Mike Taylor, Taylor Coastal Construction, 611 West First North Street."
Gentlemen, I just want to make just real quick comments. In reference to Mr. Doyle, who lives right here, that we were told does not live there. I visited with him. He's 80-some odd years old. He doesn't want to sell his house, and he's gonna stay there till they put him in a box and move him somewhere else. That's what he told me. He's there. These stars right here are the people around the property that signed in favor of this project. The other thing that kind of irritates me a little bit is that when we're trying to get out into the community, we called Councilman Brown and left him two messages, and he never returned our call. One of them, I was sitting right out in front of his house with my assistant, Kim, calling his number so that we could tell him this is what's coming up. And
Sir.
yes, sir.
Either you know what you call.
No, sir.
Oh, I heard.
Yes, sir. You heard from Kim. I don't know if I was sitting next to her.
You're
When
just
you
trying to
just-
make you. Make a point, so.
No, sir. I'm just trying, when you say, when someone comes up and says, you need to go out to the community. Thank you. I'm sorry.
And when I, you know, it wasn't here, this meeting, but she's decent people. I call you what you are. You call me what you. Okay. You guys, maybe with phones and everything else, got a $200,000 home. If I go search for $200,000 home, what would be the end of the phone? We're talking, we're pretty high. Let's do, all right, not to be wrong with you. Right? One, do something. I don't disagree. But we are.
Tim, could you roll back staff analysis again? Please? Need the motion. I'll move we approve the variance as requested.
Second.
Any other discussion?
No, there's no further business on the agenda.
I move to adjourn.